All right, Mopar people, welcome back to the channel. I'm just Mopar Joe, and there's our nightmare Charger behind me. Y'all didn't forget about it, did you? I have been busy working on this, and the more I go, the more I find, just like everybody's job out there. These are all new panels in the back, except for the trunk lid, if you're just now getting here. I welded up those holes last time. I fixed this gap today. So this is our cheaper panel here. Golden Star or whatever it was. But that's just kind of how it went here. I know there's some denting in here. Had to do a lot of prying and pulling. I'm fine with that. That'll be fixed. But this gap, I'll put a before picture here for you. It was massive. So I had to take myself a piece of metal here and actually make a transition that actually fit the gap. I could have tried splitting this up through here and beating this over and bending it over and whatever, but I needed it to go that way. But if it went that way, it would have messed up everything else. So I called Mopar Keith at Noel Automotive on YouTube, and he said, fix your gap. So I did. I was able to weld a piece of metal in there so it closer matches this baby right here, which this is still a little tight, but I'll get to him. So my goal of the day, get some work done on this besides just doing that. If I can get this back stuff shot in rust encapsulator and maybe the top, that would be great. My sail panels turned out pretty nice. I got a little spot somewhere. I'll have to feel it again, but those are doing well. Here's our roof gutters. I got this one cleaned out the other day in about 45 minutes of a wire wheel and a screwdriver. Also, here's my little, this is even a Harbor Freight body saw. I had an old blade in there I bent up, and I was basically using it as an air hammer or air chisel. As it worked, the stuff just slowly pops out of there. But the way I got it, also, let me show you down. See, there's rust in there. Real fine rust down there. So I've got to get rust encapsulator in there as well, get this stuff treated. There you go. That's how it started when it got to me. So the car's been sandblasted, but sand, it doesn't blast that out of there. So I think the better deal would have been to scrape it out before they're blasting, but it is what it is. This sail panel's also done and pretty nice. I'm trying to remember. I think I have a little, maybe a high right there. I'm not sure if you can tell it from here or not, but I wanted to get it 80%. I'm 80% right now, no problem. My roof stuff, all this little pitting from the vinyl top this car used to have, I welded in those holes previously, and I put a little wipe of fiberall light over them. But I've got to get this stripped all the way back down, get all that funky his old epoxy primer off that I think they just shot an epoxy and rolled outside, literally. So get that stripped off, get my stuff out of that gutter there, and hopefully I can get it shot in rust encapsulator today as well. That would be huge if I can get some stuff shot up and pushing forward. Well, we're halfway there, on our top anyway. You can clearly see our pitting now, a little closer. I took more of my fiberall off than I wanted to. It doesn't matter. I probably should have just waited and wiped that later. But anyway, there's a few little lows there. I finished this with my DA with 80 grit, knocked the stuff off. I started with the Eastwood Contour SCT, and my drum was so worn out on it, I went ahead and swapped over to the DA. No step for a stepper, but we got to get a coating on this before I can put my feather fill down. And that feather fill is going to fill in a lot of those divots and stuff like that. I think my goal for the day is shaping up. I'm going to get this trunk lid stripped just like I did the top. It's so much nicer to be able to do it outside. I'm still wearing a respirator and face shield, brought to you by Bad Tree Productions. But when you're outside, the wind can blow the stuff. You're not just standing in it all day long. I've got my entire top stripped nicely down to bare metal. I stopped here where my bodywork kind of started, and I had already had that stripped with a grinder before, so that's good to go. I'm gonna have to spend another 30 or 45 minutes getting all this stuff out. But I think my solid goal of the day is rust encapsulator on the top, around my rear window, trunk lid, and all these bare parts back here. So in theory, it should look more like a black car at the end of the day. I don't have time to sand off the quarter and do all that, but it probably won't need rust encapsulator. I've got epoxy primer for everything as well, but I think that encapsulator is going to help little stuff like that from coming back. I've had good luck with it in the past, and you got to do what you know, so let's keep pushing. It's pretty dusty, but the trunk lid is stripped, and I feel like they put 10 layers of epoxy primer on it, and rust was just popping right on through. So I got most of that cleaned up. I tried my DA with 80 on it, and after 3 sheets, I said forget it, and I got the SCT out. Right here on my Dutchman, remember that's a brand new panel, but you'll see things like that rust right there. Whenever this panel was thrown in the back of the car and up underneath a bunch of stuff, just like these others, see that little scratchy rust right there? Same thing, something scuffed that, scratched that, the E-coat on the panels. And if you don't sand all the way down to find the rust, you can't treat the rust. So I got to finish stripping this baby, but then I can do my top, trunk lid, that. I'm going to do the top of my quarter too and spray over the sail panels so it'll all be nice and black and match. And I can use that for blocking also while I've got it in the gun. And then I can do my tail panel and that bottom valance there and my corners. So that's all pretty close. I need to sand over the top of this and a little bit more inside of there. See, I got stuff like that I need to fix up still. You just keep on sanding. That's the name of the game. I got her wiped down, and I'm hoping at the end of this it'll look like a short, nice black finish. Usually rust encapsulator, I think this is plus or platinum, has like a real nice looking satin to it. Also, when you put black on something, a lot of times you can see all the imperfections. I know it looks a little tiger stripe right now, but it's not dry, and I got to get out of here. The fumes are quite strong. But I got everything done that I wanted to today. And with this black on here, you can start to see dents. See that baby right there? Had no idea it existed. Let's find 10 more before we leave. We already knew that was there, and that was there, and that, and that. This sail panel looks pretty good, I'm telling you. The other one needs a little more love. Spots there we already knew about. I don't see any, I'll try to go slow. I don't see any major whoop-de-doos in the top. There's a little baby right there. See him. I need a little more filler right there, kind of where those little dots are, whatever you want to call them. That's good news about the top. I'll probably end up sanding most of this back off, hit through here anyway, but at least I know everything that was shot today, including these tail panels, can now be sanded, primed, and do the final body work on them. So that's fun. You know, you shouldn't have to do that to brand new parts, but in our case, we had a special situation. I had a high somewhere, I think maybe through here. I can't remember. I'll be able to block it and find out. But as for the top, Evercoat feather fill, I can sand over that with 80, load the gun up, and put her down. I may wipe a little bit of my actual Rage Gold in my larger marks, and that way the feather fill can tie it all back in. You'll see next time, I'm sure. Thank y'all for watching, and hope you have a happy new year. All right, Mopar people.